The West Tigers take on the Bulldogs this Sunday at 4:05 p.m, and the best place to watch the game live and loud is at West Ashfield, who are great supporters of the West Life podcast. Here's some exciting news from our major sponsor, West Ashfield. Magpie Sports Awards makes its big return in 2023. The awards are to recognise, celebrate and reward sporting organisations, their champions and volunteers within the local community who can win up to $20,000 in cash prizes. Nominations close Friday, 17 March. Visit holmanbarnesgroup.com.au for more information. Holman Barnes Group, bringing people together. And welcome into another episode of the West Life podcast. I'm your host, Josh Barnett. We are sponsored by Holman Barnes Group, including West Ashfield League's best place to watch the game live and loud this Sunday afternoon when we take on the Doggies. And we've got a special guest. I saw he just dropped in on the stream. We'll bring him up soon to preview that game. Give us a follow at Westlife Pod on Instagram and Twitter if you haven't already. If you want to support and take part in the show, we'll get to the Patreon questions, patreon.com/Westlife. If anyone on the Patreon is listening, if you want to drop any of your questions, it's not too late. I'll check the Discord as we get to it later in the show. So you got about 20 to 30 minutes if anyone else wants to get in on that. Please subscribe on YouTube. Shouts to the nearly half a century of you on YouTube right now listening to us. Appreciate you coming back for another episode. Like, subscribe, help us with the algorithm. Leave a comment. I know Gussie's always in there dropping comments on every episode and promoting the like button. So it actually does really help. I know Monday's episode was one of the most watched we've had this season on the YouTube. So appreciate. And it's, I don't know, maybe people preferring to see our faces. I think people wanted to see your face go red on Monday at Rob, but you were pretty composed and angry but calm, I would say, in the same vein. But how are you tonight, Mr. Bashara? Looking very slick. Speaking of looking on camera, for those who are watching a video, you got a very slick haircut, not right in time for the show. How are you this evening?
Guys. Yeah, I'm pretty good, guys. Hope you guys are well. Just a quick shout out and some man love from the three of us to Gussie. We know he had a bit of a rough day yesterday, so thinking of you, Gussie, and we know you're doing okay. So, and we're here for you. Look, everything's I mean, Monday night I didn't go off, and I know people want me to lose my shit, and it's quite funny when I do. But you know, if we're asking for composure from our team, I think we've got to be a bit composed in how we go about it. There's no point ranting and we lost, we want to win. We've got to give some reasons and some logic behind what we say. So yeah, if you'd have done it Sunday night, I think it would have been pretty. You might have got a few more hits, but yeah, Monday night I was pretty calm. So it's life. We just move on.
And a man who's always calm, the stats man, Mr. Thompson Jr. Shout out to Mr. Thompson Sr., who I met on the weekend at the game. But how are you this evening?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Josh. G'day, Rob. G'day, listeners. I'm still trapped up in Sydney. My car's at a mechanic, so I'm still here. I've been here for almost a week now, which is a bit longer than I'm normally up here for when I come to the game. So I need to get back by the weekend, though, so hopefully my car's all good to go. But yeah, I'm trying to be as calm as I can. I'm not sure how keen I am for this weekend's game. It just doesn't feel like it's going to be a great game for us to watch. I hope the team prove me wrong, and we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. And I'll bring him up now. Joey, if you're ready to go. So welcome to the show, Doggies fanatic Joey Elturk. Thanks for joining us on the West Life podcast, buddy.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
We'll get your thoughts too. We'll just get to a couple of things before we get to the preview. On the Holman Barnes Group, they're doing St. Patrick's Day, or as I like to call it, St. Pat Richard's Day, on Friday at West Ashfield Markets Club and Croydon Sports. They're doing the green beers. Are you guys, Robbie, you a fan of the Guinness? Do you like Guinness beer?
Not really. No, I'm not a.
Yeah, I'm not a big. You're a big Guinness drinker.
I've not had a drink of much of anything in the last nearly 10 years, so I can't confirm or deny.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you're not a big drinker. Joey, what about yourself? Do you like a black beer, a Guinness?
No, I don't drink that, mate. Unfortunately, I drink beer, but not that beer.
No,
I'm sort of a Han super guy.
100.
So, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, if that's your thing, they're doing lucky green beer as well. So $6 green beers for members. So yeah, give it a crack. So support the Irish on Friday. Shouts to Pat Richards. Righto, we'll get straight into the preview. So team list for the West Tigers this week. Charlie Staines is at fullback. Dane Laurie has been ruled out with injury. On the wings, David Nofaluma and Junior Tupou. In the centres, Brent Naden and Tommy Talau. And in the halves, Adam Dwayhe/Dewey. He's been named at 5'8", but he did not train today. We heard whispers and we tweeted it out. A lot of people questioned us on Twitter about this. I didn't expect this to go viral because I didn't expect people to care that much about the West Tigers at the moment. But a lot of people through Supercoach and fantasy teams, a lot of people must have got Adam in that because so many people are messaging me saying, well, even friends are like, I saw you tweeted out that Adam's out this weekend. So the word is a couple of different people said that he wasn't going to play. He ended up being named. Rob, have you got any updates? I did see on the NRL Physio, I think, posted that he did not train today.
Yeah, look, I've got no updates, and I only know what you guys know, and that's that Wakeham trained at 5'8" today, and that Adam should be right to play, but how it pans out, I'm really not sure. Obviously, I hope he plays, and we definitely need him, to have a chance of beating the Bulldogs, in my opinion. And
into the forwards, Stefano. I shout to the chat that just corrected me. It's not Tommy Talau. I didn't update that. It's Stafford Toa in the other centre spot, not Tommy Talau. I didn't update the number 4 jersey. Sorry about that. Stefano and Clemmer front row. Appy is at hooker. Kepoa and my boy Sean Blaw. I went to the Zurich Centre this afternoon. I picked up my Sean Blaw custom run-out jersey, so 235 on the back, and I'm ready to wear that to the next game. The next game I go to is probably going to be Brisbane, I guess, so I'll wear it when I fly up to Brisbane when we play the Broncos. Fanua Pole is at lock, so an interesting one there. And then on the bench, Brennan Wakeham, Alex Twal, Joe Offengowie, and Brandon Tumeth, Justin Matamua, 18th man, and then also in the squad, Alex Seyfarth, John Bateman, Rua Nagatukora. Do I get that right? Can someone correct me?
Close enough. That's pretty good.
And Dream Buller as well, which is quite interesting too, because he's definitely one to watch out for, who's been killing it for the Magpies in second grade. Joey, I'll let you go first on the West Tigers side of things. Who in the West Tigers lineup do you think has a chance of, I don't know, upsetting you guys on the weekend? Who do any of them strike any fear into you? I asked this question the last 2 weeks. I highly doubt you guys, after knocking off the Melbourne Storm last week, the Tigers won't strike too much fear into you. But is there a player that you're kind of worried about?
Well, not really, because there is a lot of injuries out at the moment in the West Tigers. So, it's, if Bateman comes in as a late inclusion, he could pose a threat, but he hasn't played for a while now. So he's still new to the actual club as well. So that makes it a bit hard. But besides Bateman, from the name, maybe Adam Dewey, but he might be out. So other than that, there is. Yeah, see, a lot of Slurry's out too. So it's there still is a threat there. Don't get me wrong, but at the moment the Bulldogs after last week, they're obviously going to have a lot of confidence after that, after going down into Melbourne and winning. So it's that's what I can see at the moment with the West. So yeah.
What route do you want to go down? Is there a player or position change there that stands out for you?
What, for the Tigers or the Bulldogs? I mean?
Oh, sorry, Joe. I was going to Az. I was asking Az.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. All good.
I'm interested to see how Fanua Pole goes at lock. I think that could potentially be the link player that we've been looking for. If there's any switch, I think the only switch we'd see is maybe Asu back to the bench and Bateman in. I'm not sure who will drop off the bench for Asu. Wakeham, not Wakeham. Tumeth, that's the one who debuted last week. If Asu was to shift back to the bench for Bateman, or if Bateman was to start on the bench, I think Tumeth would be the most likely to drop out. But I can't really see too many changes other than that. Obviously, Wakeham comes into the side, and either Matamua or Rua goes to the bench if Adam Dewey's ruled out, and that's really the only changes I could see potentially coming for us.
Rob, what's the likeliness of this 1-17 actually being the 1-17 on Sunday?
Based on Sheens' history with the Tigers, it's 1% chance of running out like that. It's even if they're fully fit, he's always made late changes. Look, I've mentioned it on the socials. If Adam plays, I'd really like Wakeham to start and Brooks to the bench, and that way Brooks could play a little bit of hooker. If Brooks is to play a little bit of hooker during the game, I think it's a bit unfair to have him as halfback and then shift him into the hooking position, because it does take a bit out of you playing dummy half. So I just think if you're going to play dummy half, you need that rest and you need that freshness. But look, we're kind of stuck. We've stuck with Brooksy for so long. So I just think they're not going to change anything now. But at least Wakeham being there shows that there's a threat or a potential of perhaps changing things down the track. But it's a lot of pressure on Wakeham too now, because he knows he's got his chance. So yeah, look, I hope the boys do well, but we'll just see how it all pans out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously my guy Sean Ball being back is big, but losing Pupley, he is, that hurts. We're just trying to get him, as well as obviously being an impact for us, but also just trying to get him to form combinations as well. Like losing any of those big names is, in terms of progress, is gonna hurt. So as you said, as Fanua Pole at lock is interesting. Keen to see how that goes. Our attack's been pretty stale, so does that injecting him in there? I love Twiley, but him at lock just didn't seem to work very well.
I can't remember if Pole played lock at all last year. Can either of you guys remember if he did or not?
No, but I think he kind of had a bit of that role in the New Zealand trial. He was kind of doing a little bit of that, but not too much. I mean, Matamua had the bulk of that trial as a ball playing lock and didn't have a very successful trial. But look, we guys, if we're not going to have a dominant half, we need a ball playing lock. A bit like Penrith has, with Yo and South have with Murray and the Roosters have with Radley. We've got to have something else there. We just can't have statues between Appy and our halves. We just need to change it up a little bit. So. Let's just hope Brooks is given a more dominant role if he's going to play, or he just takes it upon himself to do it.
Any of those, Rob, any of those guys named outside the side, so that you'd like to see come in, as mentioned, Rua before?
Look, if they're fit, I mean, I'd love to see Bateman obviously have a on the bench. I mean, he's the most qualified guy there, and we need a bit of mongrel, and Sheens keeps telling us he's winning wrestling matches, which is wonderful. But look, our right edge is going to be a problem, Josh. Like, as you guys know, I love Adam, but, Adam got shown up last week in the second try for the Knights, and that left edge of Canterbury is just, with Burton and Kickow there. I mean, Alamotti's a bit of a no-name, but then you got Josh Adokar outside them. So that left edge is really strong. So if Bateman could come in, that would be great. It wouldn't be unlike Sheens to throw in Buller and have a late switch with Staines to the wing. See, the one matchup I am worried about is Adokar against Nofaluma, because it's not just a speed thing, but any kick behind
jumping,
Noffa, there's just no speed there, where Staines is the one guy that could probably match it with Adokar for speed. So look, there's a lot of different ways we can go, but at the same time, we've got as I said on the Discord today, I think even though Carraz is playing off his face, Junior Tupu has a massive size advantage over Carraz. So if we can put up some high balls to him and isolate him like we used to do for Kenny Mamalo last year, hopefully we could get a try off a high ball there.
To the Bulldogs side of things, so fullback Hayes, Perham, Jacob Carraz, and Josh Adokar on the wings, Jake Avarillo and Paul Alamotti. Did I say that right, Joey?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
Alamotti.
Alamotti.
Is that an Italian name? Sounds Italian. Alamotti.
I don't know. I think it's island name, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Some Pacific Island names do sound
Pacific Island. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Like Luciano. Luciano is an Italian name. And so is Joseph. Matt Burton is 5'8", Kyle Flanagan halfback, front rowers Max King and Ryan Sutton, Reid Marnie at hooker, Lami Kickow and Jacob Preston in the back row, Raymond Faitala Mariner.
Yeah,
Faitala Mariner.
Yeah.
That wasn't more pronunciation, that's more my eyes looking at the small writing. Jaden Ockenball on the bench, Corey Waddell, Franklin Pele, and New Brown, our old friend New Brown. So we'll start with New Brown, Joey. How's New Brown been for you this year? Because I know the three of us quite liked him last year for us, and we're a bit shocked.
It's not too bad. He's happy to be back, that's for sure. So he obviously used to play at the Bulldogs beforehand, and so he's been off the bench at the moment. And he started last week, I'm pretty sure, at lock, but then he got shifted over. So he's enjoying it at the moment.
Boys, any of those names you want to ask Joey about?
Not really. I got to watch, the Bulldogs play the Storm last week, and they were, very impressive. I mean, the Storm were really depleted, but look, I don't know. I just think the game's going to come down to one team's got confidence and one doesn't, Josh. Their back line, if you take out Adokar and Matt Burton, it's a pretty inexperienced back line. And their forward pack, they're missing Luke Thompson, they're missing Tavita Pengai Jr., yet they still put it to the Storm. So there's no sort of physical different or talent different between both teams. I just think we're just shot for confidence, and they're brimming with confidence.
Yeah, at home too.
After a big away win, and they hadn't beaten Melbourne, for quite a number of times in a row. So, or at least in Melbourne anyway. So, yeah, look, I hope we fire up, and like a lot of people say, we never do well as favourites. So hopefully, we can play a bit better having the underdog tag.
Yeah, Joey, the Belmore factor. So the Leichhardt factor used to be a thing for us. It's not in recent history.
In Belmore, we haven't won there for a while.
Oh, really?
So our record at Belmore at the moment isn't that good, to be honest. So back in days, obviously, it was. But lately, we've been we haven't been all right for the past 5 years there. So
yeah, right.
And we only play 1 or 2 games there each year. So that is a factor. But even though they were favourites in this, I think where it come down to, I reckon, will be in the forwards, because we have a lot of strike in our forwards, especially our younger ones like Preston. I think Jake Preston.
Yep.
I think he's starting. Yep. Yeah, he's starting at second row, and he goes well. And he's 80 minutes as well, and obviously you got Kickow there too. So he played all right last week, Kickow, but he still needs to, get some more meters under his belt. It was basically from last week. It was a big improvement from the week before, and it's no one expected us to come out and beat Melbourne in Melbourne after 7 years of losing against Melbourne. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we surprise a lot of people. So
absolutely,
it's just a matter of bringing it into our next game against West and building that combinations and all that sort of stuff, because in that second half last week, like we were all right for the first 50, 60 minutes. We went well. We scored 26 points. I think it was half time. I think it was. So, and then in the second half, we started like we let them back in. So in this case, obviously, that's when we got to attack more than the actual scoreboard. You know what I mean? So whether we can do that this week or not, I'm not sure, but I think it'll be a lot more closer than what people think. So
okay, so we're both not confident.
Well, I am. No, I am confident. Don't get me wrong. We are the favourites, and I am confident. But Bulldogs haven't been consistent for a long time.
True.
And and that makes it hard. But at the same time, what we have this year is totally different to what we've had in the past.
Yeah.
So
we thought the same thing about our team, but that's not quite going to plan.
Yeah, well, I thought the same last year too with the Bulldogs, but then it all changed. But this year we got a lot of good players, I suppose. But at the end of the day, we have to just take it week by week. So,
who do you think who will be our opposing back row? Will it be Sean or will it be Kepa on his side?
I think it'll be Sean on his side, but generally the second rower's job is to target the 5'8" or the half. So I have a feeling Kikau's going to have a seek and destroy mission on probably Dewey.
Yeah, Joel, you said you want him to get more meters. I think the West
Tigers more meters, because last week he only made about 51 meters. So but he's still done his job, and a big improvement from the week before. So against Manly. So it's
I think he'll beat that against the West Tigers. I think he's going to get more than 50 meters.
Yeah, well, you would think so.
He'll probably have that after 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Rob, any other players in the Bulldogs that are worth mentioning? Any matchups that stand out for you? Let us know in the comments too, guys.
Oh, look, I mean, it's not so much matchups, but if you're worried, if we're trying to stop the Bulldogs from winning, we've just got to keep an eye on Reid Marnie close to the line. We've obviously got to put a lot of kick pressure on Matt Burton. Matt Burton puts those really high kicks up. Charlie Staines is as safe as a bank, but I'm not so sure if he goes out, if he starts kicking to Nofaluma and stuff like that, Nofa can be a bit shaky. So definitely got to put some kick pressure on, and I'm really worried about Kikau. Even if they use Kikau as a decoy, then Addo is going to end up having an overlap. I just hate the way our right side jams in. So the question you asked as before about who's going to play on that side, it's really interesting because Kapoa had a great game last week for us, one of the few shining lights, and he played on that right side. But Kapoa is traditionally a left-handed sided player, and Sean Bloor played on the left last year for 5 minutes before he got injured, or the year before, I should say. So he was our left second row when he came in late in the season of 2021. So look, I'm really not sure, but we've got to stop Kikau. But from our end, I mean, we want to target guys like Kyle Flanagan. Kyle Flanagan's a piss weak defender. He had a really good game last week. He helped set up Preston quite a bit, actually. He combined really well with him. But he's definitely someone that we could target on the left side. So, look, I don't think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. It's going to be a defensive game, but we've just got to get in the grind. The Bulldogs really played so well last week, and just the basic stuff, even when Melbourne kicked the ball downfield, their wingers and their fullback, the way they just worked it out of their end, one of them would take the tackle, the next bloke would take the hit up. Carraz was amazing. He's not a big unit, but Carraz was just so energetic with his runs from dummy half, making 10, 15 metres every, giving his forwards a bit of a breather and getting them a little bit of forward momentum. So, look, they're playing well, but I still think it's a toss. If our boys' heads are in the right place, I literally think it's a 50-50 bet because, Melbourne had dead set so many players out last week. It was ridiculous. So, we won a trial at Belmore, and Canterbury lost a trial at Belmore 3 weeks ago. So we've got some good vibes there. I just hope we can get off to a good start, because if Canterbury get away early, then it could get ugly. But if we just go with the grind, we've got a good forward pack, especially the one that's named, anything could happen.
Brendan on the comments. So Joey, he asked about Ockenball playing at 14. What kind of role did he play off the bench last week?
Yeah. So off the bench, he only played 3 minutes, but he played in the second row. So what they're doing now with Ockenball, they're putting him in the forwards. But he has been training. I was told there was training on the wing, I think, by someone, but like in New South Wales Cup. So I think maybe, I don't know, so Reynolds may come in off the bench because he's on the extended bench at the moment. But because
our old friend.
So we're looking. I don't know. Depends on Toraldo and that, and if he decides to put Reynolds in off the bench. So it's because he has had a groin injury, but
it's not like him.
Yeah, that's right. It's not like him, but he loves playing at home at Belmore there. So and the crowd love him. That's for
no
sure.
one out luck.
So
he'll have a blinder against us, I reckon.
Yeah, well, that's his old club too. So at the end of the day,
well, if he comes in, there'll be 3 ex-Tigers if he comes in.
Too many
for you guys.
So maybe Ockenballs might be out, and then Reynolds might actually come in. You know what I mean? Because like as a utility. So that's an option. So and then Ockenball can just go down to New South Wales Cup on the wing. So, but at the moment he's been playing in the forwards and also on the wing.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was wondering that myself as well, because I kind of feel like either Josh Reynolds or Jackson Tapine would offer more utility value than Jaden Ockenball, who I've pretty much only seen up until this point playing as a centre or a winger. So it seems like an interesting one to have a player like that on the bench. So possibly
they're using his size. They're using his size because he's had a bit of experience in the past as a winger, but his size is a factor, and that might be why they're trying to help him with it, I suppose. And it can also help out our forwards as well, because at the moment we're low on forwards at the moment. So we've got about 5 forwards out. So we've got Hughes, Thompson, Patolo, Tavita Pangai, and I think there's one more. I can't remember, but so we are short in our forwards. But
Rob, Rachel mentioned on Facebook Burton's kicking game could destroy it. You kind of touched on it before. I mean, Dane Laurie, Stainsy was looking much more solid on the hind ball than Dane Laurie last week. But as you mentioned, Noffa under those kicks, man, that's the side he's probably going to be kicking for.
Well, the key's putting pressure on him, because if you give him time, he's going to put that spiral up. And if you get on him quickly, then he just puts the regular end-to-end kick, which is, even though he kicks it pretty high, it's very catchable. So I just think we've got to, keep putting pressure on him, try and make him, go to his right a little bit. Like if we overplay, and make sure our second marker comes across as well in case he does step off the left foot. But I'm happy that Burton plays 5'8", because he's just such a good runner of the ball. Like, he's so damaging. I just think he's wasted being a sort of a creator. He's just such a natural runner. So, I'm happy to live and die with his kicks, especially with I don't think Charlie Staines has dropped a ball in, 2 or 3 weeks. So, I mean, I'll probably put the mock on him now that I've said that. But, I'm looking forward to Staines diffusing it. And I just want to see our boys just keep it a bit simpler and play straighter.
Actually, Burton and Staines were teammates in the juniors, 2 together. They played for Panthers
that's right.
together.
Yeah, they were friends.
Probably would have played some first grade together too at Penrith a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, of course. As Sean Bloor as well, also a former teammate of Matt Burton in lower grades. Right, before we let you go, Joey, give us your prediction. What do you think would be the score on Sunday? You don't have to be kind to do exactly what you think will happen, because we're not very confident. So.
A lot of my supporters, we're supporters because I run an actual supporters page.
Yeah, give it a plug, man. Give it a plug. What's it called?
Yeah, how do I do that? It's called.
Just say what it's called.
Canterbury Bulldogs supporters.
Okay, we might get some Bulldogs supporters tuning in. We do occasionally get other team supporters.
There's about 21,000 members there. So
beautiful.
It's a pretty big page, but but coming to the prediction, a lot of the supporters are thinking, they're expecting the Bulldogs to, smash the West, but I don't know. I can't see it that way because West Tigers are going to come out firing, and they've copped a lot in the media at the moment, all week. So they're going to come out firing and have a point to prove, and so that's why I think it's not going to be as easy game as what people think.
I hope you're right.
But I still think that Bulldogs will get them, but I don't know how much. But I'm looking around 8 points. I'm looking at maybe 20 to 12. So that's my prediction. Yes, that's my prediction. So it's last week I actually predicted the Bulldogs to come out firing and to actually win against Storm. So that worked. But I didn't expect 26-0 at halftime.
I don't think anyone did.
No, I don't think anyone did either. So,
I guess the only comparison of recent history we've had to that is when we put that on the similar thing to the Panthers Magic round. What was that? 4 years ago now. It's been a while. Righto, Joey. Thanks heaps, man. You're heading out. I'm assuming you're heading out to Belmore.
Yes,
on
correct.
Sunday.
Yeah, and I'll be watching the New South Wales Cup as well against the Magpies. So I'm looking forward to that game too.
Our undefeated.
What's that?
Our undefeated Magpies at the moment, actually.
Yes, correct. If Wakeman plays in the NRL, he won't play that game, obviously. So that will be a big. That'll be all right. But our New South Wales Cup, there's a lot of talent in that squad. So that's what I'm looking forward to, especially that halfback they got from Broncos, Olawapawu, I think is pronounced his name.
Okay. Keep an eye.
So yes, look out for keep an eye out with him, and it's looking forward to it, mate. And hopefully it's a win for the Bulldogs, but in your sake, for West Tigers.
We will see. You're probably right, but I hope you're wrong.
Yeah. That's
Thanks,
it,
Joey.
All
Thanks,
right.
mate.
Thank you very much
Thanks,
for that.
Joey.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Bye.
Joey.
See you, mate. As Joey did mention lower grades there, we will get to lower grades in just a second after we talk about our friends from Mobile Corp, who, of course, used to be mobile MLC phones. I should have asked Joey about, does he remember the Sydney Bulldogs, who were the... was that when we were the Sydney Tigers, Rob? Were they Sydney Bulldogs at the same time?
Yeah, and there's Sydney Roosters, Sydney Bulldogs, Sydney Tigers. So everyone
was
Sydney
City Roosters, wasn't it?
I think it might have changed later, but everyone was trying to get the name Sydney and get it attached, but it didn't last very long.
Yeah, silly. And the purple stripe, as most people remember from that era. But MLC phones, they're known as Mobile Corp now. Shouts to Stephen, who's a long-time listener of this show, and he's from Mobile Corp. He's a passionate West Tigers fan, and obviously in the early days, they were under MLC phones. They were the major sponsor of the Tigers in 1994. They said there's a saying in IT, there are only two types of companies, those who have been hacked and those who will be hacked. So what can business owners do to protect themselves from cyber attack? Mobile Corp are a family-run tech company. They support the West Tigers and were a Jersey sponsor back in 2007. Mobile Corp is passionate about helping protect businesses from cyber threats. For an affordable cyber security solution, go to mobilecorp.com.au. Shouts to Shane Walker, our mate from the Tigers. There, righto, New South Wales Cup. So, as Joey mentioned there, the Magpies are playing the Doggies before first grade. It's meant to be super hot on a Sunday, like high 30s or something in the west, and these guys are playing at 1:40 in the afternoon, and the Magpies are in a black jersey. Like, do you reckon they could cancel this game or postpone it?
Depends on the temperature, but they'll probably have breaks halfway through each half, so they've really got 4 stops.
I feel sorry.
Probably will too.
They should play it after first grade or something. Remember was the Tigers game last year? The girls' game was moved to after first grade. That.
Yeah,
they should do that. Play second grade.
And they played in a monsoon.
That's right. Yeah. Team Jersey Flag. I remember them this week. Shouts to whoever it was on Monday's show who told me I forgot the Jersey Flag. They are playing at Kirkham Oval, Camden at 3 p.m. on Saturday, and in the Magpies Juniors, they're playing at Camden as well. 12 p.m. for Harold Matts, 1:30 for SG Ball. The Balmain Juniors, they're at Redfern Oval against the Rabbitohs. Have you ever been to Redfern Oval, Az? I know Rob would have been.
No.
Did you ever see Balmain at Redfern Oval, Rob?
Sure did. Yeah, sat on the hill many times there, so you copped a fair bit of abuse, but yeah, it was good fun. And even back when I was a real little kid, there were a lot of pre-season games there with other teams. So Mum and Dad and I would catch a train down to Redfern and walk to Redfern Oval. Yeah, so it was, good memories there.
Yeah, I think I mentioned on the show previously. So we played a trial there. It was Gareth Ellis's first year. What year did he come? 2009 was his first year.
Yep.
2009. But it was first time seeing Gareth Ellis in the flesh. Was at Redfern Oval, and I think we won that. I don't know. It was a trial. Yeah, doesn't really matter. But if you want to support the Balmain Juniors, 10:30 and 12 p.m. for Harold Matts and SG Ball. In the Harvey Norman Women's Premiership, they're playing at Leichhardt Oval, as are the Tasha Gale girls, 11:30 and 1 p.m. against the Bulldogs as well. And Andrew Johns Cup. So I accidentally last week said that this semi-final was that weekend. It's this weekend. They're playing at 3 p.m. at Morrie Breen Oval on the Central Coast, near where the Pizza Hut is no longer all you can eat at Lake Haven. Robstradamous, what have you got for us this week?
Okay,
make us some money again.
All right. Well, firstly, last week I got it wrong with the Roosters 13+. They only won by 8, but I did go the Bulldogs with a head start and under 40 points, which if anyone followed that got up. And just to correct Joey, it was actually 16-0 at halftime to Canterbury because I was really keeping an eye on the unders. Okay, so and when Kickout had the no try on halftime, I was like very happy about it. So look, this week, I know the Knights had a really tough game against us. It was physically grueling, and they obviously lost a lot of players, and they've got some players out through injury. But I just see their back line as just having a lot more strike than the Dolphins. And I think at home, and I think with Jacko getting his hands on the ball a lot more and having to control things with Gamble as his halves partner, I think 6.5 is not only a steal. I'm actually playing this really cautiously. I actually think the Knights are going to win. But I just think if you take 6.5, you're sweet. And look, with the Cowboys New Zealand game, I was really impressed with how New Zealand played against the Roosters. And even though they have got a couple of injuries, the Cowboys also have a couple of injuries, losing Drinkwater and losing Hiku. So they've got a couple of stars out of their back line. They'll still be very hard to beat, but they're not really one of those teams that will put a big score on you. So I think 10.5 to the Warriors is plenty. So that double, I don't know what it comes to, Josh. It probably comes to just under $3 or something. But I think it's a pretty safe bet. It's nothing. It's not like tipping Golden Point in round 1, but I just thought I'd go a little bit of a safe option there.
Any predictions as for this weekend?
I think we can keep them under the line in our game based on the website that we normally look at, because it started at -6.5, which I thought was fairly reasonable, but I think yesterday jumped up to, after the team list, it jumped up to -10.5, and I honestly think we can keep it closer than that. So that's probably my bet for the moment.
Yeah, just looking at the markets now. So Tigers 370 to win this one, 10.5 start. Can we cover 10.5, Rob? I feel like we can.
I think so. Look, I mean, it's like we said, pre-season, like we've seen the last 2 weeks, we're struggling for points. So it's definitely going to be, I think, a low-scoring game. The boys are going to be psyched up. I mean, if we lose this week, I just can't imagine what the pressure is going to be like on everyone within the club. So I hate that the boys have to go out with that sort of pressure, but it is just a must-win. Look, I'm probably a bit like Joey that was on here. I'd actually go 19-12 to Canterbury. I reckon you could lock in Addo-Carr for a try, and Kickout's going to be hard to stop if they isolate him. So that's definitely potent. And the young kid Preston played really well, like I said, alongside Flanagan. So, but I think our left edge is a lot safer than our right edge. But look, I don't like Canterbury's bench at all. and I think their back line is pretty inexperienced. So just because they beat Melbourne, there's no reason why we can't beat them. And it's another one of those games I kind of ticked as a win because, like I said, if you take out Burton, Adokar, Kikau and Marnie, I mean, it's not a strong team and it's not a strong bench. But their confidence is up, our confidence is down. So I just hope the boys can find something within, you know. But I'm just not expecting anything. If it happens, I'll be over the moon. But if it doesn't, it's just, you know, a third week of disappointment.
Interesting. I can see Josh Reynolds 375 to score a try. He's not even named. So one of the bookies know something there. Joey did mention.
Ockenbaugh on the bench, it just makes no sense. He you know, he might get a bit of time as second rower, but he's a winger, and he's a terrible winger, to be honest. Like, I'd love Ockenbaugh to be in that 17. I don't rate him as a first grader.
Once again, Stefano is the same price as Alex Twal to score a try. I don't understand this. I'm going to put some money on that right now. I'm doubling down on Steph. He
should be half of Alex's price.
He should be what? Sorry.
He should be half the price of Alex Twal. Yeah, even a third of it. Like,
that's my tip of the week. Get on Steph again.
He scores so many tries. He scored one. Yeah. He scored one in a trial, and he's scored one last week, even though it was controversial. So, yeah, I think he's just one of the guys in our pack that can score a try. So, I guess, you know, the betting agencies want to take him on.
Yeah, Sean Bloor 475. See, I would think Steph has Sean scored a try for us yet.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
He's on the Alex Twal as well. Yeah, he's not. He's only 475. Obviously, positioning, he'll probably play more minutes than Steph does. But yeah, that's my pick. Shouts to NBA 4K in our comments. Hey boys, it's Luke Brooks here from the West Tigers. You want to invite me into the show? I might find the time. I have a busy schedule. You say you're Luke Brooks, but your profile picture is Jason Tatum. So I think you might be lying there.
I'm happy to buy him a one-way ticket to somewhere else.
To Boston?
Wherever, as long as he's not number 7 for us.
Righto, on to our tips. So I'm just going to go to Patreon. We've got our tips first. So we've all gone Manly. So boys, we've all gone Manly over Para this week.
Yeah, Manly coming off their bye. Para not looking too crash hot at the moment. They've given up a few leads, so I feel like Manly are the safe bets for this one.
Yeah, agree with that, Rob?
I've put Manly, but it's an absolute coin flip. I only went for Manly. I only went for Manly because of what Aaron said there, the bye. Like, I just think they're a bit fresher. But, you know, Para playing well. Like, they got off to a flyer last week, leading 10-0 in no time. And, Cronulla just were too good in the end. But that's a real toss of the coin job. But I seem to say that about most games because I just always say the first month is so hard. You've got to wait for some teams to get some form before you really know what they're like. But Manly are high on confidence after a good preseason.
Speaking of confidence, the Dolphins, they're short price favourites to win in Newcastle. Obviously, no Ponga for the Knights. Rob, you've still gone the Knights, as and I have gone the Dolphins.
Yeah, well, for me, like I said, home crowd.
Yeah,
coming off arguably their most courageous victory in their history, to be honest, given what went against them last weekend with their players. And, yeah, I just think there's a lot more strike with Gagai and Best and Young, and Miller. Like, they've just got so much speed and strike where, I mean, with the Dolphins, they play hard, they play tough, but, you know, they've got an 18-year-old at 5'8" who's playing great, and they've got the hammer at fullback who's going well, scoring back-to-back tries in back-to-back weeks. But, yeah, I just don't rate their back line. I just think if Newcastle hold them in the forwards, and they have got enough in the forwards, they've got Crossland at hooker. So, yeah, I just think the Knights can get home. But you know, like I said, if you're having a flutter on it, just take a little bit of start, and I think it's a certainty.
Sean O'Sullivan mentioned before how Burton played with Belore and Staines and Dane Laurie in the juniors. Sean O'Sullivan was in the halves as well with them. So he's playing pretty well too for the Dolphins. Yep. As you're going with Fins up?
Yeah, I'm a little bit tentative on this one. I do feel
I
like
was too.
the Dolphins, they're playing the big occasions at the moment still. So they had their first home game at Suncorp, then they had their first home game at Redcliffe, which is like their spiritual home or whatever. And now they're playing their first away game, and I feel like they'll get up for this one. They've got their first derby against Big Brother Brisbane next week, but I feel like next week is when it's going to start tumbling down for them. They do have what's his name, the hooker from last week, Jeremy Marshall King. He's suspended for them this week, but I do think the Dolphins, with the forwards they've got, Felice Kafusi in particular, the Bromwich brothers, I think they'll have enough to hold the Knights at bay in this one and just eke out another win like they did against Canberra, maybe with a last-minute try again, potentially.
Let us know in the comments too as we're going along, guys, who you're tipping in these games. Big one of my favourite games to watch is the Roosters-Souths rivalry. They hate each other. I hate them both. Maybe Souths I hate that a little bit more, but I did tip them this week, as did Rob, as did Az. I was tempted. Yeah, Roosters are at home, but yeah, Souths, Rob, it's they're going to be hard to beat this year.
Yeah, look, this can go anyway too. I mean, I wasn't impressed with the Roosters last week. They were missing a few forwards, but they've got Radley back this week, which will help their attack, and their back line's star-studded. But I just thought South kind of played Penrith as if they were there for tackling practice. They really didn't sort of have a go till the last 15 minutes. Like, Penrith totally dominated them. So I'm just expecting South to bite back, and it'll be a great game to watch. I hope they just bash the crap out of each other. They're always good to watch.
This one's going to have a bit of extra spice to it after the Sin Bin Sunday in their last meeting in the first week of the finals last year.
Yeah, not to mention the guy, the kid with the Roosters jersey that racially abused Latrell Mitchell at Penrith. So I'm sure Latrell will come out pretty fired up.
Yeah, not good. Titans and Storm. So Titans are underdogs. Rob and I have gone for Titans. Melbourne $1.50 favourites. As you think the Storm will bounce back this week?
How often do the Storm lose 2 in a row under Craig Bellamy? That's usually the main stat that's considered in this one. I think it's only happened once, twice, maybe 3 times in the 20-odd years that now Craig's been coaching them. And the Dragons...
last time we won 2 in a row?
And then there's the Dragons, who beat the Titans last week, and that made me really reconsider just how high up on the ladder I had placed the Titans. They don't look as good as they did against us, but that was because we made them look better. So I feel like going with the Storm is the way to go here. I think, they've got enough in them to bounce back. Jerome Hughes will lead them. Harry Grant should have a better game at dummy half, even though he was still pretty good in a losing side last week.
Rob, part of me is like, the Titans look so good against us. It might be a bit of a factor for me tipping them. But
yeah, they were pretty bad against St George, though, Josh. Look, I only put the Titans because having watched Melbourne the other night and then seeing Asafa Solomona getting injured, knowing he was going to be out for a while, I kind of do my tips on Monday, and I'm not in a money comp. So, like, all I care about is just getting the Robstradamous stuff right. So I put the Titans thinking, well, Melbourne's still got a heap of players out, but then having seen the team list, they've got back Xavier Coates, they've named Justin Olam, they've got Karma Kamitha back in the front row. So they actually have got 3 players coming back, and Olam's a big in if he is in, and obviously Coates gives them that strike, whether it be speed or with the aerial threat. So yeah, I'm not so confident about putting Titans anymore, but yeah, look, it is what it is. Like I said, it's just a bit of fun.
Cowboys at home against the Warriors. We've all gone Cowboys. I think that's might be the safest tip. As if you're still in your last man standing, that would have been my tip for you this week. And unfortunately, you bounced out last week. Yeah. Rob and I told you to go Roosters, and you didn't.
I stuck strong with the Storm because I thought they'd beat the Dogs, but silly me.
And can the Warriors win in North Queensland? The 3 of us don't really think so.
I think they can with the heads. I've given them the head start, obviously, but I actually think they can beat them. I really do.
10.5 start for the Warriors. I mean, it's a weekend of ups. I mean, looking at these prices, it'd be worth putting a bit of money on every underdog this weekend. I reckon a few will get up.
I think the Warriors and us are the best value in terms of the outsiders and the Knights. The Knights are probably 275 or something. So
240.
They're into 240, are they? Okay, yeah. I think there's a few upsets there. I hope.
Titans
Definitely
260. Broncos. We've all gone Broncos against the Dragons. So Dragons to come back down to earth. They're paying $4 up at Suncorp. Brisbane at Suncorp, pretty much a lock for us. We're going to play there in a couple of weeks when I head up there for that game. Not looking forward to it now, but yeah, as Dragons, any hope of winning in Brisbane?
I think they're a decent chance. They've got the momentum coming off their first game of the season, but they're still a bit rusty. I do think the Broncos, they've played 2 very big games and they'll be up for this one. So that's pretty much where I've gone for them. I think it'll be a reasonably close game. The Dragons may not be as wooden spoon favourite as I thought they were. So that one's going to be interesting. Should be a good one to watch. But yeah, I think that the Broncos will have a bit too much for them.
We've all tipped the Dogs against the Tigers this weekend. No, yeah, betting with our heads on our hearts this week, boys. I hope I'm wrong, obviously, but
likewise.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, we're $3.70 outsiders. That's, like you said, Rob, that's might be good value. I mean, 10.5. I think 10.5 start for us is good value. We can't score points, but our defense, touch wood, isn't that bad. So 10.5 is quite a lot of points.
Except for last year, I mean, obviously we were 0-4 and 0-5 eventually, but except like most times you get teams playing 4 or 5 rounds and everyone pretty much racks up a win. So when you get to these like a round 3 and teams are 0-2, like, that's why I kind of worry about Parramatta, because like Manly have won and had the bye, and it just kind of tends to level out a little bit with the teams that haven't won. So I'm kind of hoping we do the same this week with Canterbury, but like I just think if you're not winning at home, and it's not just the losing, it's just the way we lost. There was, you could just, as we discussed on Monday night, their heads dropped. There's going to be a change probably in the halves, and it's not that it's not a good change. If Wakem comes in, I've been wanting this change, but again, it's having that cohesion, and he hasn't been in first grade for 3 weeks, so. Yeah, I just think with a lot of games it can all level up. Just back on the Broncos for 1 sec. If anyone's in a last longer comp, that's your lock this week. Broncos are going to smash St George, even though St George do well up there generally. But I just so impressed with Reece Walsh last week. Broncos will smash them. But as for us, I hope we get off to a good start, guys. It could get ugly if we get off to a slow start, but I'm expecting a grind, and I'm really hoping the boys put in this. So I know they put in 2 weeks in a row. They've just haven't played smart.
GD Target said earlier we have to score first we can't be chasing points. I think that's pretty much.
Yeah, I agree with that, but we're not great at protecting leads either. So I just think we've got to be in the game. The game can't be a blowout. We've got to put a bit of scoreboard pressure on Canterbury. But yeah, if we can just get in their face early, but for us to win, we're probably going to need to score 24 to 25 points, I think. To otherwise, it's just going to go down to full time. If we're going to score 12 points like we did last week or whatever it was, I think it was 12 points we scored. Yeah, it's asking a lot of your defence. Like Canterbury should have 2 or 3 tries in it.
Lastly, Canberra. Playing in Canberra against the Cronulla Sharks. I've gone the Raiders. You guys have gone up Cronulla. For me, home ground. If in doubt, I always go home team, and Canberra, one of those teams that definitely home ground factor comes into it. They're underdogs. Also, because I've tipped pretty rubbish the first 2 rounds, I'm kind of trying to make up. You kind of need to start
round already.
Trying to start throw a few Hail Marys already, but. Why the Sharkies as?
This to me is the biggest coin flip of the round. I feel like the Raiders, like obviously home advantage down in Canberra is pretty good for them usually, more so in winter when it's drastically colder. So I don't think it's going to be as much an advantage this time around than it normally is. For me, like I said, it's a bit of a coin flip. I'm going more with the fact that the Sharks have a bit of momentum on their side, with their loss to the Bunnies and then their win last week, which was a really well fought out win over the Eels. The Raiders, they've had 2 close losses, one considerably closer than the other. So I think the motivation and the momentum there is there with the Sharks, so that's why I've tipped them.
Rob?
Oh, look, I was really impressed with the style with which Cronulla played last week. I think the one thing Cronulla are lacking, even though they put a great win against Parramatta, they just lack a bit of game management and composure with Nico Hines not being there. Like we saw last week, they had the game wrapped up. Ramian takes an intercept. You would have probably seen it on TV, and he gets himself near the sideline. And they kind of remind me, and it's actually a good thing. They kind of remind me of the West Tigers of 2005. What I saw last week, they're just playing, not understanding what time of the game it is, what the score is, and look, Canberra. To be honest, I think Canberra have been really good, but they've got our problem in the red zone, guys. They're just useless. Like I saw it, they dominated the game against the Dolphins, and they had a really good patch against the Cowboys the week before, ultimately losing by a field goal. So I just think they don't know how to win, and it wouldn't surprise me if they won, but I just think Cronulla are they're humming. They're going really well, especially without their star player.
Right, on to the Patreon questions for the week. Patreon.com/Westlife. If you want to help support and take part in the show for just $3 a month, starting at $3 a month. Access to our Discord, which has been really firing off this week. Shouts to everyone in the Discord, especially on game day. That's when it's the best. We're obviously being at the game the last 2 weeks, kind of hard to have your phone out, but if I'm at home watching it on Sunday, I'll definitely be able to keep an eye on it more. It's really cool to it's kind of like you're watching the game with lots of friends. So shouts to all you guys. And okay, questions for this week. Kenny C, is Wakeham's role going to be play the second hooker and give Appy a rest at some point, or is Brooks going to go to hooker and Wakeham to half when Appy comes off? As you want to go first, what's your prediction for the role?
Well,
for
we touched
Wakeham
on this one. We touched on this one early when we were looking at the team lists. I feel like that's probably what we're going to do, because I believe it's what we did in the Easter Monday game against Para last year, because I'm pretty sure Brooksy was at 7, or Brooksy was at 6, Jacko was at 7, and we had Madden on the bench, I think it was. Madden came on, played in the halves, and Brooksy shifted to hooker. So I have a feeling we're probably going to be looking at doing a similar thing here. I don't agree with it. I think it should be the other way around, where Wakeham starts and Brooksy just comes off the bench, and we do it that way. But I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Rob?
Look, I mean, our love affair with Brooks, I mean, someone asked me today, like, what is it with the club what do they see in Brooks that we don't see? I don't know what the answer is. This would kind of be my analogy with Brooks. I mean, and it's got nothing to do with rugby league. When there's a really good looking bad boy and the girl knows that he's really good looking and he's got a really bad history, and she thinks she can change him when she goes out with him. I feel like that's what our club is with Luke Brooks, and honestly, I love Luke Brooks. I really do. He's just not a halfback for us. Like that, it's just as simple as that. So, and I haven't seen anything the first 2 weeks. In fact, I actually think he's regressed. He's actually got less control of the team, and maybe that's how he's being told to be, like just to stand in the corner and let Appy do his thing. But it's just not working, guys. So I really hope Wakeham starts, and it wouldn't be fair, as I said earlier, for Brooks to start at halfback and then go into dummy half and then maybe switch back to halfback later. I just don't think that works either. So, we'll just see how it pans out. But, we just got to get a win, boys. I don't care how we do it. I don't care if we do it like the Cowboys did it to us after full time. Soft whistle, hard whistle, nuclear whistle. I don't care. I just want to get the 2 points. We just need some momentum. We don't want to be going into the Melbourne game 0-3 and Melbourne getting players back, and maybe Munster back next week.
As it's kind of, I like that comparison there, Rob. It's kind of like when
that's one of the best analogies I've heard in a long while.
like when Lisa dates Nelson on The Simpsons.
Bravo, Rob, bravo.
Thank you.
Only other question this week comes from super fan of the show, Gussie. He's basically listed a whole heap of players who we should sign who are coming off contract. Maybe Gussie will save questions like in terms of roster stuff. Maybe we'll save for bye weeks because we've got a few this year. So we'll talk that sort of stuff as opposed to when we're previewing the game incoming. So love you, Gussie, and as Rob said earlier, thinking of you, this week with what's happened. But I promise
Definitely.
we'll save that for us, Gussie. When we hit to a bye week, we'll probably do a whole episode of questions. So save that one because we're at the hour mark there. We don't want to go too far over an hour for these preview episodes. It's been, that flew by, boys. An hour already.
Boys, we're 32 seconds away from the Sydney Kings winning a grand final if they can hold this 6-point lead. And I'm not used to following a team that wins a grand final. So
I've got the Sixers, so they do all right.
Yeah, I'm just holding my breath, hoping we can hang on.
What's the score in that one, Rob? It's not going to be meaningless.
75-69 with 32 seconds left, and we're at the free throw line. So
yeah, right.
It would take a scrum against the Feed in the 2010 semi-final against the
Braithen has to.
Yeah, and
Braithen has to playing for the New Zealand Breakers.
Yeah, but we don't have Todd Carney out on the court tonight, so Braithen has to say sweet.
I'm going to go out on a limb. Congratulations to the Sydney Kings. That might haunt people when they listen back to that tomorrow. But yeah, good on the Sydney Kings. I've been to a couple of Sydney Kings games. Obviously, I live nearby. They're awesome. Take the kids to Sydney Kings. Well, you obviously can't now. The season's finished. But next summer, it's awesome going to the basketball. Obviously, I love basketball as well. But NBL is going gangbusters. It's so popular now. My prediction, I think, obviously, I'm going to be biased because I'm a basketball fan. I think basketball will be one of the most popular sports in Australia. I think it'll be after rugby league and AFL. I reckon basketball will be more in terms of watched. I think it'll become third within 10 years. The next generation love NBA, and NBL is getting really popular. So it's the tangent time of the night. So that means it's time to wrap up. Get back to the footy. Any chance for a miracle this weekend, West Tigers, please. But as always, let us know in the comments. You know how we finish every show, boys. As always, next show Monday night we'll review this game on 8:30 p.m. Monday night. Join us again on YouTube and Facebook. And boys, as always, go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the West Life Podcast. Please follow us at West Life Pod on Instagram and Twitter and facebook.com/West Life Pod. You can also support and take part in the show at patreon.com/West Life and give us a subscribe on YouTube and turn notifications on. We'll see you again next time on another episode of the West Life Podcast.